Zohran Mamdani. Zohran Mamdani. The communists, the jihadists in sheep's clothing, the communists, Zohran the commie, Zohran the moron, Mamdani the commie, whatever you want to call it. Guess what? A literal, actual card-carrying communist might actually become the mayor of the most populous city in the United States of America. This is a very startling state of affairs right here. You know, we got a whole bunch of people out there, a whole bunch of young liberal women that are deciding to literally vote to take away their rights. I think it's a crazy thing, an absolutely insane thing. These people are quite literally voting against their own self-interest, but they don't understand that. And I think that it's the same story that has happened so many times all throughout the world, that a slick talking snake oil salesman will come in and they will offer you the world, right? And that's exactly what's happening here. Zohran Mamdani is coming into New York City and he's offering free buses, no rent, free food, all these things that specifically he cannot actually accomplish as the mayor of New York City. But he's using this as an opportunity to gain power. And I think it's crazy. And I think he's very, very dangerous. And that's just the bottom line. So anyways, he had a large rally last night. And of course, guess who was there? It was Bernie Sanders and AOC. We have some clips from that rally. Let's look into it and see what that was all about. Let's see what's going on here. Here we go.
Jews escaping Holocaust, Black Americans fleeing slavery and Jim Crow, Latinos seeking a better life, Native people standing for themselves, Asian Americans coming together in Queens, in Brooklyn, in the Bronx, in Manhattan, in Staten Island, in this country, in Jews escaping.
Oh, geez. AOC's screaming. She's going wild out there, dude. She's screaming. She's angry. She's mad, dude. She's fired up, I tell you. She's absolutely fired up. Let's see Zohran Mamdani talking about some things.
Here is what we stand for, my friends. We are going to freeze the rent for more than 2 million rent stabilized.
Oh, I'm saying.
Here is what we stand for, my friends. We are going to freeze the rent for more than 2 million rent stabilized tenants.
This video is not the right volume. One more second.
Here is what we stand for, my friends. We are going to freeze the rent for more than 2 million rent stabilized tenants and use every resource at our disposal to build housing for everyone who needs it. We are going to eliminate the fare on every single bus line and make what are currently the slowest buses in the nation move around this city with ease. And we are going to create universal childcare at no cost to parents.
The problem is that he literally can't do any of these things. And some of these things are just fantasy. We're gonna magically make the buses faster. We're gonna make everything better, and it's all gonna be for free. The bottom line is that he doesn't have the ability to do this. They don't have the money. They don't have the legal ability to make any of this happen. He's just using these people as pawns, as useful idiots in order to get him in power. This is a snake oil salesman. Just very clearly. He's not qualified, he's not capable, and he is lying. The bottom line, even if you got all the billionaires, all the millionaires, we're going to make them pay. That's not possible. It's not legal. And it's not going to pay for half of the things he's talking about, which he can't even legally do. That's the bottom line. I'm sorry, but this guy he's a fake. And we have some evidence of how he's not even qualified to be president. He doesn't even know, or president. Holy shit. Imagine. Oh my God. This guy is fake. He just reads off a script. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't know what he's doing. Here's an example of that.
Good evening, New York City! How are we all doing? Habibi, how are you? It is so good to see you.
Sorry.
Good evening, New York City! How are we all doing? Habibi, how are you?
How are you?
It is so good to see you all here tonight. Now, as you know, a politician is only as good as the team around them. So I have to ask that team to start up this teleprompter.
See, I think that's a huge problem. He literally can't even speak. He doesn't know what he's saying. He doesn't know what his policy is without having a teleprompter. He's absolutely just petrified up on stage. How you doing? How's it going? How did it do? He's a fake. He's reading scripts. He's an actor. I'm sorry.
Right now, it's off the top of the dome.
Right now, it's off the top of the dome, and you're doing so great, aren't you? How you doing? Hey, how's it? Hey, everybody.
And while we wait, why don't we actually begin?
Yeah. While we wait, why don't we actually begin? I think you should be very afraid. I mean, come on. You should be very, very, very afraid of this. He's a slimy actor, doesn't know what he's doing, isn't qualified for anything, and is ready to take over the largest city in the United States of America by lying to the people and promising the world without being able to do anything. And unfortunately, a lot of the Democrat ilk are falling in line behind him. It's very sad to see. Here's the governor, Kathy Hochul, who is bending the knee to Zohran Mamdani.
Elect Zohran, and we take back America. Thank you, Queens. Thank you, New York. I love you guys.
There you go. Everyone's falling in line behind him. The Democrats are bowing down to the extremist part of their base, and it's very sad to see. Here is Zohran Mamdani. When asked a simple question about policy, you know, how are you going to accomplish something? And it is some of the worst word salad that I've ever seen other than Kamala.
You've said that you would fight him in court, that you would lawyer up and try to fight back. But can you really stop, armored vehicles from rolling down Canal Street with lawyers?
What we would do in running the city is first to actually take this administration to court and to do so immediately as opposed to being pressured into it. We would follow the example that we've seen across this country, where you have Democratic leaders like Mayor Michelle Wu, who respond to these kinds of pronouncements with the answers that they deserve. When the president said that he was going to take away World Cup hosting responsibilities from Boston, she responded to it as it should be responded to, which is that this is ridiculous. This is a violation of agreements that have already been signed. And it's important for New Yorkers to know that they have someone who's actually standing up for them. And finally, we will have an NYPD that is working to deliver the public safety of New Yorkers, as opposed to wondering whether we're going to have a mayor who's going to go on Fox News and say, opening up the door to civil enforcement of ICE's mandate. I've said time and again, while I have fundamental disagreements with President Trump on a wide variety of issues, if he wants to get on the phone to talk about anything that would be to the benefit of New Yorkers, I will always pick up, I will always have that conversation. What marks me as distinct from Andrew Cuomo or Eric Adams is I won't be having a conversation at the expense of New Yorkers. I won't be having a conversation about myself. And so that means you're ready to fight in public if necessary, but you're ready to pick up the phone in private as well, because what New Yorkers really want is results, and that's what
I think that is a masterclass on how to say so much yet literally say nothing. That is the worst word salad that I have ever seen in politics, other than perhaps maybe Kamala Harris. It is shocking that this man got as far as he has when he has zero actual capability or understanding of any of the issues or any of his own policies. It is very, very, very sad. Anyways, here is Zohran Mamdani talking about Hassan Piker, the dog striker. What's he has to say? This is very interesting. Here we go.
Today with Cuomo's camp, I mean, any response to that?
You know, what we can see is a candidate that is desperate to understand why he is so far behind a politics of the future.
Why do you hang out with guys like Hassan Piker? Said some nasty stuff, don't you think?
I'm here to talk about the World Cup.
Zohran Mamdani refuses to answer questions about Hassan Piker, the dog striker. Hamas Abi, very strange, but you know, this is the guy that hangs out with actual legitimate terrorists. This is the guy that has supporters that funded Hamas. This is the guy that refuses to disavow, globalize the Intifada. This is a person that is dangerous. This is also someone that specifically lies and uses Islamophobia and racism as a shield against him or any concerns that he has. By the way, there was a big moment recently, and I don't know if you remember this, where Mamdani was crying, saying, "Oh my God, Islamophobia. People are so mean and racist to me." And the worst part about 9/11 was where my aunt wasn't able to wear her hijab when on the train. And oh my God, it was so terrible. Completely forgetting about the fact that the 3,000 people that died probably don't give a shit about your aunt's hijab and how she felt bad about wearing it on a train, you know? But the most interesting part about that whole statement, and the unfortunate part about this, is that none of the mainstream media actually did any investigation into that claim about the aunt, right? So let's do a little bit of investigation into that claim. Zohran Mamdani states that he has an aunt that it was in New York City during 9/11, right? And that she felt so bad about being unable to wear her hijab and wasn't able to ride the train, right? Well, turns out that Zohran Mamdani's only aunt doesn't even wear a hijab and has never lived in New York whatsoever. Didn't take the subway after 9/11 because she didn't even live in New York City. She was working in Tanzania. So there is no aunt that lived in New York City during 9/11. The only aunt that she does have doesn't wear a hijab and was actually working in Tanzania during the time. Yet he wants to lie to you and tell you this sob story about, oh my God, I'm so sad. Oh, geez. Everything's, oh my God, don't look behind the curtain because it's all racism. And oh my God, I'm so sad. Oh, geez. What a weird thing to lie about. Not a weird thing to lie about when you realize that his goal is to use your compassion against you in order to gain power. He is using your care about being a racist or Islamophobic or something like that as a way to ingrain himself into society. So you forget about his ties to 9/11, that you forget about his ties to radical Islamic people, forces, that you forget about his ties to people that funded Hamas, a radical Islamic terrorist group, that you forget about all these different things. The fact that he just 7 years ago got citizenship to the United States, that he is a dual citizen of Uganda, a place that regularly murders gay people. He wants you to forget about all these issues. The fact that he didn't have an actual serious job until he was in his late 30s. The fact that he has parents that are multi-millionaires, but lives in a rent-stabilized apartment. The fact that he has no ability or actual capability to do any of the things that he's saying. The fact that he is claiming to be able to give New Yorkers free everything, yet is incapable of doing that, has no funding, has no political will, no actual legal ability to do so. That's the real issue, is he wants you to forget about all of the real legitimate concerns, the real legitimate issues with him, and just focus on, oh, poor him, everyone's a racist towards him, everyone's they're Islamophobic against him, that must be why they don't want him. No. The real issue is that he doesn't know what he's doing. He's incapable of doing it. And he's said and done some terrible things. That's the bottom line. He's a dangerous communist, and he's going to be terrible for New York City. Here's Zohran Mamdani talking about billionaires.
Should billionaires exist?
No.
No. No. No.
All right, just check. We're just checking. We're just checking. You've been talking to a lot of people. We're just checking in.
I mean, yeah, sorry, continue, please. Okay.
I find it hilarious as well that the same kind of people that support LGBTQ, LMNOP also support Zohran Mamdani, you know, and the mental gymnastics that they go through to make that okay kind of blows my mind. Here's one, the trans congressperson, Tim McBride, talking about Zohran Mamdani.
What we're not going to do. We are not going to have the same people who have been rejecting purity politics from the center now disingenuously use purity politics against progressive candidates like Zohran Mamdani. This is something that we've been seeing for a while now in the New York mayor's race. It's not new in our party, unfortunately, but we've seen the same people who have not wrongly said that we have to build a big tent, that we have to reject purity politics, even on issues that might be deeply personal for many of us in the Democratic coalition. Those same people now, I think, disingenuously using purity politics and identity politics to try to cancel people like Zohran Mamdani. Saying that individual positions, like his position on Israel and Palestine, are disqualifying. And in some cases, fabricating words that he never said and putting them in his mouth. And now some, appallingly, are trying to cancel him for his nationality. Trying to cancel him for having dual citizenship because the country that he has dual citizenship in has a government that has anti-gay politics. It's like cancel culture, identity politics inception. Now, look, there are obviously lines that exist and reasonable critiques that people can have, and obviously there are behaviors that can cross a line, and I think in some other races we're seeing important conversations around that. But we are not going to have the same people who have...
So you're completely ignoring all of these critiques to Zohran Mamdani because they're coming from Republicans. You're completely ignoring this and voting against your best interest as a trans person by putting someone like Zohran Mamdani in power, specifically because these concerns and these critiques are coming from a Republican. That's exactly what's happening here. Very strange. Very, very, very strange. Anyways, just interesting little food for thought here. Zohran Mamdani's Democrat Socialists of America have signed on to a statement calling for the release of Elias Rodriguez. This, of course, is the terrorist who executed 2 Jews in Washington, D.C. last spring. Wow, with some sort of nonsense about the Palestinian struggle is the tip of the spear against global imperialism, as imperialism has made the world blah 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 blah. This again is more evidence of the violence of the left, of these people thinking that it's okay to murder two innocent Jewish people in the street just because of Palestine, Israel, this, that. Pretty crazy. Pretty weird, you know? There must be consequences for genocidal Zionist imperialism, and those consequences are righteous. Yeah, it's never okay to murder innocent people in the street. That's absolutely insanity. And the problem is that he refuses to disavow any of this stuff. He refuses to call out any of this. He aligns himself with Hassan Piker. He aligns himself with people that actually fund Hamas, radical Islamic terrorists. He aligns himself with people that were unindicted co-conspirators of 9/11. I mean, these are all legitimate concerns to have. These are all legitimate problems. These are all things that you should be worried about, and rightfully so. Yet we're not allowed to talk about this because if you mention it, then somehow you are Islamophobic, you're a racist. And that's the shield that he has. That's the shield that he takes in order to be above all sort of concern and criticism. And it's disgusting and it's wrong. And it's the way that he is using your compassion in order to get into power and then enact his insane policies.